Can normally. All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Derita Matters, April 2025. Cannot believe it's April. Woo. Um, and I am Teresa McDonald. I am on the Derita Statesville Road Community Organization Board, on the Planning Commission for Charlotte. I'm a realtor in with Alan Tate all over the region, Albemarle to Gastonia, probably even further west than that, Mooresville to Monroe. And in these meetings, we cover roughly this area. Downtown Derita is centered at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek. And for about a 2-mile radius from there, bordered by 77 in the west, 85 roughly along the south, and then Harris Boulevard closing that area is where we've drawn the boundaries for the purposes of this meeting. But of course, the areas that really do impact us as well, that's a little bit outside, is North Lake up here, the whole university area, UNC Charlotte, and then, of course, whatever happens uptown, and the historic West End is mainly on the other side of 77. There's another version of the map just to show you from Google Maps, roughly the 2-mile radius or 2.5-mile radius of the same area. This is roughly the same area with the census tract selected to provide the data, so the sampling of data that I have on this little graphic here, the various statistics about the area. Some of this has to be updated again, but we still have our 3 city council districts that all kind of Sugar Creek and Mallard Creek are the dividing lines. So some of us fall into District 2 with Malcolm Graham, others into District 4 with Renee Johnson, and then District 1 is a small area in Derita, but it includes us here in Allen Hills, and the folks in Royal Oaks, Greenleaf, etc., are now in District 1, which is Dante Anderson's district. Thankfully, we all fall into County Commission District 3 with George Dunlap, who's awesome. So that's just a few little factoids. Next
Real
week
quick,
will be, I'm sorry?
real quick, going back to the previous screen, your population and housing structure breakdown, how recent are those?
It's the most recent, and I'm actually gonna go since our special guest is actually not able to be here this morning. I think everyone heard me explaining, but our special guest is on a plane as we speak because her flight back was delayed and she ended up having to spend the night in Dallas. So she cannot make today's meeting. But I'm going to go over that, the quality of life, and we can in real time explore, because I think I updated that at the beginning of last year.
Okay.
And so the data is updated. Hopefully Joseph will join the call later. He is going to do a bit of a deep dive, and you might be interested too, Jack. UNC Charlotte is doing a some kind of seminar or educational thing to help people analyze and delve into the data, all the data that's available for our area. A lot of it comes from that quality of life survey, which I'll go into.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
so yeah, our next Zoom meeting will be May 1st, May Day, at 9 on Zoom as usual. And then at this point, we've got a breakfast planned for June 7th that may turn into a general public meeting. Have a few folks interested in having a general public meeting in June. So that may be subject to change, but I think we'll keep the date. And then July, probably there'll be no meeting in July because it's so close to July 4th and most people are taking vacations and so on. And then August as needed, and we'll pick up the Zooms again in September. If anything comes up during the summer, which it may, we'll call a meeting and you'll get the notice. All right, I think let's run through introductions. I introduced myself already, so I will just call on you as I see you. And Jack, why don't you go first?
Jack Rosh, retired computer consultant, also on the board of DSRCO, and resident of Kelsey Glen off Hubbard between Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek. Kind of represent the northern part of the area.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Jacqueline Blackwell.
Good morning. I'm Jacqueline Blackwell, resident of Great Oaks Community. I am on the board of directors, have been in Great Oaks for 30 plus years. Wonderful community.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Jessica.
Hey, I am Jessica Bustamante. I am with Nevins Inc. We are a nonprofit in the Derita community that helps adults with disabilities to live their best life.
Awesome. Thank you. Mel Renner.
Yes, I serve on the board for the Derita Statesville Community Organization. I'm retired from 12 years with the city of Charlotte as a procurement officer, spending millions of the taxpayers' dollars, and spent 18 years in a row as the HOA president of the Forest Pond community, which is just shy of 300 homes. That's me. Otherwise, I'm a general troublemaker.
To another troublemaker, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Jeffrey Simpson here. I'm the president of the Farmington HOA, which is in between Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek. And we have a population of 278. I think as we go along, Teresa, there's some interesting facts, interesting news I think I probably should share as I go along. I'm always involved in something. This last one I'm involved with, or the recent one I'm involved with, is called the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. So you got the Citizen Leadership Academy, you got the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. Good information with regards to how to get things done, and other people like we're doing, DSRCO is doing. I can glean some information from what we do. So the question to you after my introduction is, are we specifically just focused on Derita, or can somebody join this conversation with regards to learning how maybe to get things done in their neighborhoods as well?
Yeah, I would say, anybody is welcome to these meetings. And yeah, we kind of have the HOA presidents, which have a different set of issues from the neighborhoods that have no HOA. but yeah, I would say everyone's welcome. I mean, we really do a lot of brainstorming and discussion in this group, and then can point people to different places to get resources. So yeah, I would love more of an update from you, Jeffrey. But let's finish introductions. Let me see. Valerie's iPhone. Valerie, are you there? Ooh, my window's a little noisy. I'm going to close my window. Okay, Sarah. We're just doing introductions. Sarah.
Hey, hopefully you can hear me okay. This is Sarah Morton. I live in downtown Derita, right across from the BP that they're like now tearing apart for some reason. So
I know. I just saw that and I had no idea. So maybe
I
we'll
think
look that
I
up.
have to think it has to be unexpected because before when they shut down for some time for renovations, they had a sign up like weeks prior. So it seemed very sudden. I'm wondering if there was a leak of some sort.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some answers today. I'm not sure, because I'm going to go through a few of the sites to get some information on projects and things around town. Maybe there'll be some details there, but yeah, that was a surprise to me as well. I didn't know, unless they're getting rid of the gas station. No more fuel pizza for us. But I don't know. All right, I'm trying to get a view of the people on the call because I'm struggling here to make sure I've got everybody. Okay, Jill.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jill Stevenson with the who am I with? Generals Point HOA. I do have a question. I don't know if now's the great time, but I don't want to forget. I just wanted to ask, and maybe someone can point me in the right direction. Last week there were these big trucks from Blythe, I guess Blythe Construction, or I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the company Blythe. They came into our neighborhood and I was asking them what they were going to be doing, and they said what I understood him to say was they're going to be repaving the roads in our little Generals Point neighborhood, redoing the asphalt. But apparently that's not what happened. They tore up some little areas, I guess, that needed repair and patched it. But it doesn't look very good. And I was trying to Google yesterday and figure out who to call in the city to talk to about it. But I thought maybe on this meeting that you guys are a wealth of resources and knowledge. I thought I would just throw it out there and see if anyone knows who maybe I could contact to ask about this, because I almost want to say the roads looked better before they came in and did what they did, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. All
So,
right.
you know, just wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I'll see if there is any information about that on the city's project site, which we'll go through in a little bit. And if not,
Yeah, we can come back to it. It's just
you
something
can
I wanted to throw
always,
out there because I'd like to
yeah,
call someone.
yeah. And when in doubt, you can always call 311.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point. That's a
have
good point.
them
Yeah, they can probably
direct
get me in the right
you.
direction.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right. You're right. Okay. Thank
But it
you.
sounds like it's a city project, so it should be on the record somewhere. So hopefully we'll
Okay.
figure it out as we go through the slides this morning.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. Dr. Penn.
You are muted, Dr. Penn, if you are actually speaking.
Okay, well, let's move on to Kerry. Kerry, we haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I was on the last meeting, but all good. Good morning. I am Carrie Miller. I am from the Avalon at Mallard Creek HOA, community advocate, and someone who's also here to support Derita. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Charlene Henderson.
Good morning to everyone. Of course, my name is Charlene Henderson, and I am of the historic Hidden Valley. I've been on the calls with you guys for quite some time, and I just want to make sure that I raise my hand and voice for both of our communities whenever possible. So if there's anything that we can do with and for each other, we're always here. I'm the communications liaison for our executive board. So if there's any communications that is needed, I am the one, and you can just hit me at hiddenvalleycommunications@gmail.com, and we'll be at your meetings. And if you guys could have someone to come to ours to make sure that we're on the same board and on the same playing field, that would be great. But always, I thank you, Ms. Teresa, for allowing me to be in your meetings.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, if you, in a little bit, if you have any updates from Dante Anderson's town hall, because I believe you guys had quite a big attendance there. Our group went to the Corridors of Opportunity update, which happened at the same time. So we kind of had to pick one. So.
And will you be speaking on that on this call today? Because we did not go, but what I heard, it wasn't quite a town hall, but I don't know. That was just
Yes.
speculation.
No,
So,
exactly. There's really nothing much to report from that. So
okay.
It was more, there was a very short update. There was a great meal served. So it seemed to be more of a party celebration of
That piece.
to socialize and less you know, they were people from city departments that you could follow up discussions with. So, you know, that's always good. But it wasn't the same level of updates from each department that you might get at a town hall, which I will speak about as well. And then Mel can help me too on that, because we were both at Councilmember Johnson's town hall in university area. But thank you, Charlene. I think that completes the introductions. If there's anybody that I missed, I apologize. And if you want to introduce yourself, please speak up. I'm just having a bit of trouble seeing everybody on my screen at the same time.
I have one to introduce, Val. She's not able to unmute herself. So she is from the Great Oaks community, and I'm introducing her because I invited her to come, and she's joining us this morning. She is a longtime resident of Great Oaks, very much interested in everything that we are doing and the greater community. So she wanted to make sure that I introduced her. So that's Val Turner from Great Oaks.
Okay, thank you very much for that. All right. Well,
Teresa,
yes, sir.
I don't know if everybody knows, but I'd just like to mention very recently there was a shooting at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek. That's essentially Derita. And if you've noticed, I certainly did. There's a police tower over in the parking lot, and that's the reason the surveillance going on.
Wow. I did not hear about that. Very recently?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, no, I did not hear about that. I did notice the helicopter was out yesterday, but I don't know if it was related to that.
I think this was, maybe a couple of days ago, but I got notified by a friend concerned about what might be going on in our area. And yes, we have crime every now and then for sure. But anyway, the location, and it was on the news. I can forward to you the video that my friend sent me. It was on the news that there was a shooting at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek, and I have noticed coincidentally that there's a police tower in the large parking lot there near the sign. It's kind of diagonally across from Puckett's. So anyway, it's
Okay.
concerning for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I would like to know some more details about that. And we'll update if we get more information. Okay, let me just go to my agenda. And I was going to go through, I don't have slides for everything, unfortunately, but the District 4 town hall that Councilmember Renee Johnson put on was really a great event. I know, Mel, you were there as well, so you can help me with some of the updates. But they had representatives from different city departments who presented updates specific to District 4, which is some of Derita falls into District 4, like Forest Pond for sure, Michael's Landing, anything that's sort of north of 85, but south of Mallard Creek Road is in District 4. And then, of course, the big center of gravity in District 4 is University City. So University City partners were there, and they gave a pretty good update of everything. And if you're not following University City partners, they put out a great newsletter. They've got a great website to get updates there because, you know, they work with all the businesses. They do have a municipal services district, so they have an extra tax for, and it's mostly businesses that fall into that municipal services district. So they supplement some of the litter cleanup and safety and even private property appearance, etc., in the university area. They supplement what the city or the state provides on some of those roads. They do their own litter cleanup, and the businesses pay into that fund. So lots going on in the university. If you haven't been over to the new library in University City, it's great. The whole center there is coming along very nicely. You can walk from the library over to Boardwalk Billy's and then, you know, make your way over to the light rail, or walk around the lake. It's really the redevelopment is coming along. There's been some big changes. It's moving, you know, probably not as fast as most people would like, but it's definitely coming along. It's worth a visit if you haven't been. They talked about some major city investments coming to the general area. Some of it falls outside of our area that we focus on, but there's street lighting on W.T. Harris, a whole 7.5 miles. They are in the process of adding street lighting from 85 all the way to Holly Huntersville Road, Mount Holly Huntersville Road. As well as McCullough Drive and Lakeview Road. They're widening Lakeview Road. So that falls kind of into our area. Anything else from that stood out? Mel, those were my notes. And then I have, you know, they provided housing trust fund updates. Which is the city's fund for affordable housing. right now they have their request for proposals for the next round of funding going on, and we have one project in our area that is part of that batch, which next month's meeting we will have someone from Annex Group to talk about what they're proposing. It's right on Oneida Road. I don't think anybody in this group is actually in Allen Hills or Kerry Hills or Cardinal Glen, but Oneida Road is our road that connects to North Graham Street. And so this project, the zoning is already in place, but they're applying for city trust fund dollars as well as state tax credits to provide that affordable housing. So they're having courtesy as well as required community meetings around that. So we'll look forward to that presentation from them next month, and then follow the process. The city, votes, city council votes on what projects they'll support with the trust fund dollars, and then the state has some kind of process where they also vet a lot of these projects, and they award or don't award funds. I think there's a high chance this one will be funded unless it really doesn't seem to be the right thing for the community. So
I'd like to emphasize, it's good that there is, in fact, state funding. I hear every once in a while the comment, a tremendous amount of information shared about what's going on, and then what they anticipate to happen in the soon future, depending on federal funding, which, quite honestly, might not happen. So, yeah, we'll see. I think there was a good bit of discussion about the bridge that's coming over, hit right there where the library is. That all that area has got a lot of construction going on to realign the streets, and it'll end up being a major intersection in that area. So, and I was particularly interested in the discussion at the very end of the program. Quite a few people, I didn't get a chance to chime in, but about litter all over, especially in our area, it's just atrocious in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe there should be some sort of a penalty for abusers of dumping trash all over our streets. And there's some areas that are just absolutely terrible. Over near Walmart, there's a lot down from Beef Corral it looks like a city landfill to me.
I know. I don't know if everybody saw the article that the Charlotte Observer ran, and the reporter Bria Lumpkins talked to a lot of us here, but one of the things I did was give her a driving tour, and I'm kind of still haunted because you become almost numb to things as you drive around, or certainly for me, until you start to see it through someone else's eyes, or just are actually presenting the area. And it still haunts me, honestly, how trashy everything looked. I don't think she mentioned that in the article, so that was good. But yeah, litter is corrosive. It demoralizes people, and I don't know what the solution is, because it should be a major function of city services, but it also takes a cultural shift to stop.
I do not hesitate to call 311 and communicate with zone enforcement, about some of these matters.
Yeah.
They probably know me by now, although your report can be anonymous.
Yes.
So yeah. I had a real good success. I have to mention this because I'm glad it happened in the neighborhood where my significant other lives, off Rumpel Road, Ridge Lane. There's a piece of property that's kind of back behind a pond, but it's nevertheless fronts Ridge Lane Road where there's a fraternity house. And when they have a party, it's just amazing how many beer cans collect near their mailbox, and how what a blight it is on that area of our neighborhood. I went on Polaris and found the owner, wrote him a letter on behalf of the neighborhood, and also communicated with the code enforcement. And lo and behold, let's hope it stays that way. It got cleaned up.
Good. Yeah. And that is what it takes. If we all do that in our little area, it will make a difference for sure. And sometimes, the owners just don't have an idea of what is going on. And so all it takes is that notice. And then hopefully they can keep it straight for a while. Anything else from that town hall, Mel, that I might be forgetting?
No, not that I can think of. The barbecue was pretty good.
Yeah, the food was excellent. So that from Bobby's, a local business, was very good. So the city's budget process is ongoing, and I'll try to share that in the slides how you can get involved. But right now, April 7th, there is a committee meeting, on a budget committee meeting. And then in May, there's a lot of public hearings, and there'll be a lot more, and this is for the city budget. And then I think the county budget is ongoing as well. So try to get involved. They always do put surveys out, although sometimes those surveys are really hard to understand, even for somebody who's quite involved in the city, and learning the jargon every day. But we have to participate in those.
Teresa,
Yeah.
are residents notified of these town meetings that you all are speaking of? How do we find out about all of these things that are going on that we might be able to participate in, or, at least go
Yes.
there?
Well, we talked about these at last month's meeting that were coming up.
Okay.
The two events. So that's one way, but you can sign up to be on various mailing lists, and I'll try to figure out where to look for that. But certainly, if you're not connected with your council member, who for you in Great Oaks would be Renee Johnson, that's the best place to start, is get on her mailing list. And certainly when she has events, but that one of she just had her town hall, so that but that's one place to start, is that. And then charlottenc.gov.
Thank you. You mentioned something earlier about the university website that we could visit.
Yeah, universitycitypartners.org, I believe is the website.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get out of my
And also, Miss Jacqueline, this is Charlene. You can always, and I'm not sure if you're on Facebook or not, but that is one of the ways that you are able to get like real time information when you're
Okay.
looking for these type of things. They put all of that stuff on their sites as well.
But see,
So,
I'm not on Facebook and I
but if you
know
look it
a
up,
lot.
if you
Okay.
look it up just in your Safari browser and then just Google, well, not Google, but put it in there with the city government's Facebook page, you should be able to have public viewing.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
that's one way as well. It's
Thank
easiest
you.
way.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Carrie. That link for University City Partners is in the chat. I believe that is correct.
Oh, okay.
No, now if I could just, sorry, I'm struggling a little bit here on my laptop. Okay. I think since we're talking, I'm going to go onto the site that the city has, and I'll put the link in the chat, and it's also always on the slides. And if you get the slides in the email, there's generally a link on every slide. Now, if I can find the chat. But this site is something that the city maintains, that has all projects city related, everything from construction, small construction, larger construction, and we were going to try to look up. I don't see anything really that pertains to that gas station on West Sugar Creek, but let's see what this is.
I know they've torn it all down.
Yeah, and that was surprising to me. So I don't know if it might be part of the townhome development that the gas station is going away. I'm not 100% sure, because I think that on the map is really just the
I would be surprised specifically because the gas station itself is still full of stuff. And I went by it the morning that this all started and they had bags on the pumps. And my first thought was that perhaps there was like a leak or something. I think it is possible. Perhaps they had to tear the cement up maybe to run something to the complex behind. But I think it's more likely that something happened with their structure. But to date, they have not touched the building. They have not taken the inventory out of it. The building is completely intact. They're just tearing up the ground, the pumps, and the like overhang.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess to be determined. I don't know what is going on there, but it does sound like it may just be a repair operation or something related to the other construction going on there.
I hope so.
But if you look at this, well, I was hoping that they'll turn it into a fuel pizza, actually. But I don't know. I don't know how likely that is. Oh gosh, I'm trying to navigate.
I'm inclined to say it's some kind of upgrade because they stand to get a lot more business when that development is occupied.
Yes.
That's very possible too. So, yeah, well, if anybody has the opportunity to get more information, don't go out of your way, but if you happen to, that would be great. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything. This little marker on this map, which is a great resource, doesn't refer to the gas station at all. It refers to the townhomes that are being built or will be built in this big project area here that you see that is gray. And I think this is where the house was demolished. There was a single family house that was demolished there, and I'm pretty sure that's what that actually refers to. This green, for instance, here is showing, I believe it's street lighting, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, street lighting along Gibbon Road. So this is a project that is underway, or it's complete actually. So there you go. But that was street lighting from Old Statesville Road to West Sugar Creek. Sorry, I'm navigating this in real time. Joseph,
Yes.
sorry, I just realized that you got here, and maybe we can have a quick update if you've got one on the
Yeah, and it's really quick.
yeah.
There's
I'm trying
I
to
don't
go to
have
the map area.
a lot new to update. Last Monday, it wasn't something important. The city of Charlotte sent some staff out to the parcel. It's the one that if you see it, it's the map marked in it's in white with the arrow on it in that map. Uh, we had some staff from Housing and Neighborhood Services and from the planning department in the Urban Design Center. They are at least recognizing that there are some conflicts here, that this particular part of Charlotte does have some needs that and that so they have two different priorities. They're trying to get the best use out of the land from their perspective, and they have some conflicting priorities here. One is like walkability and accessibility to resources in a walkable distance, and the other one is the city's, of course, we're in the middle of an affordable housing crisis. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to see what can be done to get both, to use the land to accommodate both. I also invited Will Russell to attend the meeting, and Teresa in their capacities as planning commissioners for the city of Charlotte. And they both submitted feedback about the parcel. There's one update that was a bit disturbing. If Teresa, if you move the arrow to that road, there's a road spur in the Mineral Springs neighborhood at that point where the arrow is, where Teresa's holding the arrow. And so what I was told by the city staff is that when those things are there, that usually means that the planning department has already predetermined for a road to be built. And so that's something that's going to have to be navigated. So one thing that so my feedback to them was, don't build the road, but if you're worried about connectivity, a good idea would be to make it like some sort of trail network. There are some opportunities to do that, like on the backside of Mineral Springs Road. That's where the big townhome project is. There's an access point on Mineral Springs Road. That's their tree save down right above where grading permits is. And so maybe my idea was to create a trail from Mineral Springs Road. And there would be some discussions with like Michael's Landing and Great Oaks, but that if they were interested in granting easements to include a trail along their properties too, that could go into the Mineral Springs townhome property and then up through that backside, which would create another, a pedestrian trail network, which is that kind of thing is a city priority. But that's one concern, because in terms of in terms of traffic patterns, it's that network, that place, it would just be a road, basically another a slightly more convenient way for the people living in the Mineral Springs townhomes to get to University City Boulevard than they would already have by simply turning right out of the property. And my perspective is that there have been more than enough accommodations made in this particular section of Derita for vehicle transportation. We need to prioritize pedestrian access more. So that's something to keep an eye on, and perhaps as we're communicating with the city staff or our elected leaders, just let them know that that's something we would rather see than just simply build a road because something was written in a plan 10 years ago without any connection to the current policies that the city has adopted surrounding the comprehensive plan that requires more walkability. But overall, I think I'm glad that the city came out there and they seem to want to be grappling with the fact that there are these conflicts, though, and they're not just making a decision from 600 was it 600 East 4th Street or East Trade Street? I think it's East 4th Street from the government center. So that's the other update. And one more quick update. We will know the technical assistance placemaking grant is they should know that they're supposed to be deciding on the 14th of this month. So we should know if we will be getting awarded the grant. So, they seem to be supportive of my application initially. I don't know. I've been pestering them a lot lately, so maybe that won't happen. I don't know. I do think it's good that we have the city out here grappling with, the problems, though. So, but I should have by the next meeting, maybe before through email, by the 14th, I should have other updates. And just on a personal note, I would really like to try, and I know it's up to me to sort of rally the troops or ask people to show up and join things, but I'd like to come up with some kind of activity we could do on the parcel, maybe by the end of the month. Something that's easy for people to walk or ride a bike to. So I'll be reaching out and following up about that. I don't have any ideas, but if you have any ideas of things you'd be interested in doing or that could possibly be used, we could possibly do, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is meetjosephmargolis@gmail.com, and I'll just put my phone number and email address
in the chat.
And those are my updates. I don't know if anybody else has anything, but I want to stick to my promise to keep it brief because I feel like I've taken up a lot of time the last couple of meetings.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll follow along, and I believe the city's meeting or their
May
department meeting is actually in May, which is when the city, the county, the schools.
It's just going to be the city. It's just going to be the city. It's not the joint.
Oh, it's not the joint. Okay.
It's not the joint. What is it? The joint
task force.
The joint governmental task force. It's just the they call it the city departmental land collective.
Yes, that's right. So that in that meeting, the city is reviewing all the city-owned property and trying to assess whether these parcels are good for any, to meet some of their pressing needs like housing or roads or parks, which of course parks are a county function.
Oh yeah, they don't consider parks. They don't consider parks at all. They're just only considering city priorities.
Okay, but are they not? I mean, would they not say
placemaking?
They'd identify a parcel that could be something they want to.
They would call it placemaking.
About.
Yeah, they would call it placemaking, right? Because Yeah, they would call it placemaking because the city does placemaking. They don't do parks. Caroline made that explicitly clear. It's kind of weird and it's a little
Okay.
disjointed. But placemaking could probably at some point lead to a park, or it has a chance to lead
I
to a
got
park
you.
at some point. But that would be a much later conversation has nothing to do with what the city decides. Just the conflict is that we this part of Derita has just been like I wish I had the crash map available. Maybe you'll have to show that to them sometime. That's just that we have like
Yes.
crash.
And
Both Graham Street and University City Boulevard are high crash roads with serious injury frequency. You
yeah,
know, um, so there's that conflict of us just being sort of disconnected from access or safe walkable access to resources. And then the other conflict is that this parcel happens to just be one of about 8 in the city's portfolio of 100 or so properties that are suitable to build housing on.
yeah.
And so that's the conflict and why they're trying to do both. So we've at least done a good job of getting them involved in our coming to our community and grappling with the conflict. That I don't think they would have come if we hadn't signed that petition and been really pushing them to consider some of the specific needs as related to the comprehensive plan. So anyone that participated in any of those forums that we've been pushing since February, I personally appreciate it, and it has helped.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseph. So we'll follow along on that. The other thing I wanted to go through was the Quality of Life Explorer, and I will also put this link in. Now I have pre-selected. Oh no. Oh, this just has Allen Hills selected. So I guess I might need to find another link, but and Joseph, this is for you, just an aside, since you signed up for that data deep dive thing at UNCC. I was just looking at this, and this is Allen Hills, this little MPA, which NPA stands for something that designates that area. It may be a census tract. I don't know exactly what NPA stands for. But Allen Hills is in here, and this data is showing that the average sale price is $516,902 in this particular part, in this little area. And I know that is completely off. I have no idea how we get an average price there unless they're averaging big commercial land sales with housing sales, which it shouldn't be, because it's supposed to be the average sale price of homes. So that, this kind of makes me question all the data on the site that I'm about to show you. But I hope that we can get to the bottom of that. I'm not sure. If we look at another one, Rockwell Park shows an average of 429. I'm just not seeing it. And then here where Puckett's is, so yeah, there's something off with the home sale price data. So contact your local realtor for average sale prices of homes. I'm not sure why this data seems so wrong. But what was your question, Jack, that we wanted to look at this data?
I was just asking from your summary sheet what time frame the data was coming from. It was a general question. You answered it as the end of 23.
Yes, okay.
I was just curious. You might
Yeah.
want to update it with maybe something at the bottom in the
just
But-
so to have the
Yeah,
date.
as of whatever date you last updated the data.
Yes, yeah, I can do that. I generally do update it at the beginning of every year. But I
It's a
don't.
lot. I understand because I used to
Yeah.
do one like that. It's a lot of work, and I understand how much work, it really is. But it changes so frequently now.
Yeah, it seems like it changes frequently, but when I was looking at, for instance, like residential new construction, now, of course, I have to select, let me just click on my other link because this is where I have all the areas selected. So we're looking at, this is residential new construction in this entire area, 617 units. Which, is not a huge number for a whole year in terms of, how much stuff changes, increasing population or even cars. I've got the NCDOT traffic count map as well that we can take a quick look at. But let me put this link in the chat so you guys can, and if you want to delve into your particular area where your house, sits, you can just select that area to get all the data. So right now I have housing selected at the top here, but if we look at character, I believe will give you demographics generally, so we could look at population density, and there you'll see sort of the total number of people, and this is from 2020. So the census, the actual census only happens every 10 years. So this particular number, which is why it's hard to put a date for those numbers on that sheet, is each number could have a different date. But I'm just overthinking it, so I try to do it once a year. But yeah, 51,484 people in this area. I wish that it had over time, you could see the changes, because from the Derita area small plan that was done in 1985, we were talking about a population of maybe 5,000. Now, it wasn't this entire area, but most of this was farmland back then anyway. So, we've seen a huge amount of population growth in this area. Which is not surprising. The whole city has doubled in population in the last 20 years, and the increase has spread around. I don't think we got the majority of the increase by any means. So that is character. Economy will show you things like income, job density. Let's just look at job density, because that's a very favorable one for us to, and because a lot of university areas in here, we have a lot of manufacturing as well, and industrial in here, so we do have a higher jobs per acre in the area than the county-wide number. Anybody want to look at anything in particular? We do have a lower median household income than the county average. Education, you can go and look at high school graduation rate. We're performing not quite up to the county level, so that's room for improvement. Library card holders, we're doing reasonably well. so there's lots of data. This is engagement will tell you 311 requests, and that's one area where you'll see that we actually do make a lot of calls to 311. This is the number of calls per 100 people, and we're way above the county average. So that's a sign of maybe more problems to report, but also just more engaged residents. There are some areas where people are not necessarily making the calls, but have still suffering the same issues. But I don't know, some number of these as Mel's calls, I believe, and Sylvia. But it's very fruitful to call 311. One of my neighbors just called about a pedestrian warning signs, to help us cross Nevin Road from our neighborhood to get to Ribbon Walk Nature Preserve. The sidewalks are beautiful, but they're on the other side of Nevin Road, so we do have to cross Nevin Road. And she made a call, and I was still operating on when they first were putting in the sidewalks. We asked about pedestrian improvement, for crossing Nevin Road particularly, and it just didn't seem like the city was willing to do anything. They felt it might be more dangerous to actually have. I don't know. I didn't understand the reason then, but I just said, I don't know. I don't know if they'll think about pedestrian crossing Nevin Road, but sure enough, it took one call, and they are going to install at least some signs. We're not to the point where we'll get a crossing or a light or anything like that yet. It may come because the Greenway construction has actually started now in Ribbon Walk, which is going to connect Allen Hills Park to Nevin Park. So that Greenway construction has started, and there will be improvements to allow people to cross Nevin Road. But like all these situations, it's a long walk from where we are at Lake and Nevin to get to that safe crossing, and there's no sidewalk on our side. So we still are left with the option is to cross at Lake Drive. So be interested to see what the city actually puts there. But calls to 311 definitely do get results, and sometimes pretty quickly, especially if it aligns with, if your request aligns with any goal of the city that is funded and ready to go, as this seems to be pedestrian improvements. Neighborhood organizations is another good one. Okay, this isn't the contact list, but that's on the city site. Voter participation, we were a little bit low. And this just tracks the general election. So that is kind of surprisingly low. I don't think our particular precinct is higher than that, yes. And I'm just familiar with my precinct. Environment, commuters driving alone is one that's always interesting to look at. And then time, somewhere here, I thought there was time, but I don't see it now. Maybe it's under health. Tree canopy, we're a little low on tree canopy, but part of that is because a lot of this area was farmland and not woods, so it didn't have a lot of trees to start with. Health. So there's lots of data here. I don't need to delve into this. I thought there was some, I guess transportation is where we will see how the commutes. We transit ridership. If you look at the graph, it will show you, and you can see that transit ridership generally countywide and in our area has not come back to 2019 levels at all. It's still pretty far off. So that's another challenge for, you know, adding transit when ridership is so low, which is why we've seen some budgetary changes and the commitment to roads and improving our roads for everyone. Sidewalk availability, the whole county really performs very poorly on sidewalks. So that is that site. We don't have any rezonings in the area, anything new. But you can just go simply to rezoning.org and have a look at the map. Some of these are still on the map, but they, I believe, have been approved. We talked about this Gibbon Road. I feel like that one was, well, it does say pending still, but it was just a very small change to that site. So I don't think there's anything new there. That's 0.65 acres. Something very small, but yeah, there's not a ton going on. This one looks like it possibly could be new to us. And the city does not have any links populated yet in here, so I can't show you any more information, but this zoning petition number you can pick up over here, petitions by year. So in 2025, you can go to that petition, which I don't remember the number now, but was it 25? I don't think it was 25, but that is that site. The rezoning.org, very easy to remember, and we'll tell you about all the rezonings that are in the process. NCDOT, this is traffic counts, which I find just so fascinating. I'm going to put that one in the chat as well, because when you start delving in, you just don't see major increases in traffic counts. And I don't know if it's a working from home phenomenon or why, we feel such a change in traffic patterns or, more congestion maybe, which is different than the number of trips. It's hard to explain, but I wanted to just show you this map too, if you wanted to get some data about, and these would be the state roads. This is NCDOT's information. CDOT, I'm pretty sure, also has traffic count information. But if we were to just look at one example, this is Sugar Creek, kind of in the bend on Sugar Creek. So that's, north of Derita. And the traffic counts, the historic data from 2002, 9,800. And now it's up to 11,000 in 2022. So, yeah, that's maybe a 20% increase in the number of cars in that particular spot. I just found that interesting. And there are some areas that had, the numbers are very similar from 2002. This is another part of Sugar Creek, and look how much the traffic has come down, the traffic count from 27,000 to 17,500. And that may be related to, the new bridges, because back in 2002, some of these bridges didn't exist. University City Boulevard, the other one that goes over on the other side of the high schools, bridges over 85 I'm talking about. So a lot of the traffic, is kind of more dispersed and not on Sugar Creek necessarily. But I find it's very interesting to me to look at traffic counts. And I do see that they're doing a bunch of counting again. So we can expect some of this to be updated. But this is just NCDOT's traffic counts. I think this is Gibbon Road. Yeah, let's just look at Gibbon Road. 9,000. So it kind of peaked at 12,000 in 2014 and is at 11,000 in 2022.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any way that this can be possibly correct. I live on Gibbon.
I know. So what are you saying? What do you think is wrong?
I mean, with all the new neighborhoods and I mean, well, there's the Harrison neighborhood. Now they're building, and then the one across on Christenberry. There's more and more traffic on Gibbon. I don't see how it could possibly be correct that it's less.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying it's less. Well, it just
less, 12,000 to 11,000.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be curious to see a more updated.
Yeah, so 2022 is the last.
Yeah, that's true. That stuff was not here then. So yeah, I would be curious to see what it is now.
Yeah. Yeah. And then maybe they can kind of isolate possibly how many trips. And this is curious to me. I feel like there's got to be better sources of the data. This data comes from when they put those black sensors across the road, and they're literally counting each car. But as we saw during the pandemic, there's other ways to count using cell phones. But maybe, I guess that data is probably expensive to get a hold of for something like NCDOT. But yeah, the commuting levels have not gotten back. I mean, we can look at some of the some of the highways. Let's see. This is 77, I think. 159,000 in 2002, and 2023. So you can see where it kind of peaked at 182,000 in 2015. 2019 was 158, and then really dropped in 2020 and has climbed up again. But I think some of that is a working from home story, which I believe Charlotte is one of the cities that still has a pretty high percentage of people working from home and not commuting, which doesn't feel like it. I know, when you get in your car and try to go anywhere at rush hour. I think that's everything that I plan to share as far as just delving into any of this information. If anybody is interested in the
I
data.
have to relate an interesting transit experience. For the first time ever, myself and my significant other, Gail, we went to a major concert downtown on the Blue Line, parked at the J.W. Clay garage. And this was this last Friday night. Coming back, the light rail was absolutely packed like sardines in the light rail cars. Kind of remind. I've been in on actually on a bullet train in Japan where I think it feels like they had to use a crowbar to get people in. But this was just an interesting experience. Makes me wonder if there's a limit to how many people can actually are supposed to be on those trains. But it was far better than trying to get on a street to go downtown to an event and find parking.
Yeah.
But it was quite an experience. I'm not sure I would be inclined to do it again, but it's an alternative.
Yes. Yeah, trade-offs. And I guess going to an event is kind of, people are a lot more staggered. So, but when everybody's leaving an event at the same time, you're going to have the crowded roads, you're going to have the crowded trains and all of that. So it's hard to avoid. But yeah, pick your poison, I guess. But yeah, we do have really good options for taking the train uptown. I usually park at the Sugar Creek station and go in from there. Once I've weighed, that I really want to do that and not just try to find parking and walk from wherever uptown. All right. Anybody got anything else to add? And then I guess I could show you quickly where that project is. So for next month, we'll have the guest from the Annex Group. And if Charlene is still on the call, one of their previous projects, I think, is close to Hidden Valley. And I'm going to forget what... I didn't write it down what she said it was called. I believe it's Union at North Tryon. It's not quite opened yet, but they do have 3 other projects in Charlotte.
Hey Teresa, this is Carrie while you're pulling that up. So I now my permanent residence is in now District 4. Off of Rocky River Road, and there was a very large parcel that sold for $800,000 last week on the corner of Rocky River Road and Rockland. If you're familiar, if everyone on the call is familiar with the area, there was a lot of construction and development happening in this area. The parcel is about 6.5 acres. It's a large lot. There currently is a single family home on there now. But that I didn't know if at the town hall last week with Renee, she mentioned any of the development. They're also extending the greenway in this area and building, I think, 300 single family, maybe single family and townhomes in this area as well. They're clearing over 100 acres of trees that are going into, I don't know if we would call that Hidden Valley, but it's supposed to connect. Old Concord Road and Orr Road to Tryon into the Eastway area. So I didn't know if there were any updates on that and how that's progressing, but there's a lot of commotion, and I didn't know if maybe Renee, well, the sale just happened last week, but I didn't know if there were any plans that anyone's has heard of any more townhome community developments or what's being planned for that 6-acre parcel in the corner of Rocky River and Rockland.
Yeah. Well, one thing about that area is that you are probably within a mile or 2 of a light rail station. So
Definitely.
that is definitely city policy, and part of the comprehensive plan is, to add housing close, to add density and housing close to where we've made these billions of dollars investments in light rail.
You have Rockland on there. I would pull up Rocky River. It's on the corner of Rockland and Rocky River, but I think the address, I think I have.
Yeah, I was just trying to get to that area. I'm not,
Okay.
there's I see Toby Creek Greenway. Where is Rockland? I
There
know
you go.
very well. Did I find
Zoom
Rockland?
in.
Is this Rockland here that doesn't have a name on it? That maybe they will give me a name where that green stripe is. I think that might be Rockland, but it's just not putting the name there for me.
I think that is Rockland because
Yeah,
it's intersecting Rocky River right across the street. Yeah, I think that's it.
yeah.
It's got Clark Farm.
So it's
Yeah.
probably this parcel here that you're talking about.
Hmm.
I don't think it looks
It's,
like sale is recorded.
it's pretty massive. The only reason I think we have a community meeting next week. There is no HOA. But I know that the president of the association or community association that we do have is very adamant about the type of housing that that's allowed in this neighborhood. Even though I think there are restrictions, but because it's right there on the edge of Rocky River, I don't know if that would be considered part of Autumnwood. So I don't know,
Yeah.
just keeping an eye on it. It's a massive piece of land. There are new townhomes right across the street from there, as you can see from this map. Um, but yeah, I know that they're building not affordable, but they're calling them first chance houses,
Yeah.
where which is great, which is a great program because it's allowing folks who are transitioning from affordable housing, give them the opportunity to actually lease to own or buy to own. And in some of those areas, but I just wasn't quite sure if anyone had, if Renee gave any update to develop the massive amount of development that's going on over here.
So it's a big part of her focus. Not necessarily just that area, but where you're talking about is where the growth will go,
Okay.
because of the light rail, because of the greenway. These are public investments, and then
Mhm.
public investment generally follows those public investments.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I would expect more growth. And you're less than 5 miles from downtown Charlotte. So it's perfectly logical that that's, in my mind, just being totally, objective. I know, it's a different story when it's your backyard, and things are going to change substantially, exactly, right around you. But I was just going
Yeah.
to the zoning to see, it looks like it's just in 1A zoning. So but there's definitely higher density all around. You can see here,
Yeah.
it's pretty high density. So
Well, and from what I've heard, that area that you're pointing out with that high density, that has been pretty much a it's been a cause of contention for some of the older residents that live in the area because the developers, they crossed their fingers and crossed their heart and said, "Oh, we're not going to put a massive apartment complex," and instead they put massive townhomes there instead, in their backyards. And so I think I think folks around are trying to figure out what's going on and what else is going to be built there, because they really didn't they weren't expecting so much density in that area. But you'll see that area where you see that still pink Jones Creek or Johns Creek Lane goes into the end of that pink that pink box in behind, that's actually a street that they're about to open up as well. And so they're actually trying to create a lot of connectivity in the area, which is great. But what's concerning is just like the whole traffic pattern. Then if you scroll back a little bit, once you see the end of Rockland to the other pink square at the very bottom of the screen, where it says X2
Yeah,
INNOV, that is that massive development.
yes,
So they've got plans to open that road all the way up. You see the railroad tracks for Old Concord Road.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's supposed to be like a public park back there too. So
yeah.
I'm not people need a place to live, right? I just worry about the people who are going to be priced out in that trailer park behind there, and the other areas in back of Old Concord Road. But I am hopeful for connectivity, to give folks an opportunity in some green space, right? But that's a lot. That's a lot of trees being cut down and a lot of housing that they're planning back there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, but you see where the light rail station
Yeah.
is. So
Yep.
it's just,
It's expected.
yeah. I mean, you can't add that number of residents somewhere out in the county and think that you've solved the problem. You know, we've got to start filling in these areas that are close to where the amenities are. Um, and it's just a fact of living in a city and being
Yep.
close to that awesome light rail. 80% of
Yeah.
Charlotte cannot get to a light rail station easily.
Well, I mean, I think, and to your point, right, the connectivity is a real issue, and I think if they are proposing all this growth, even in the Derita area, even at that parcel next to Michael's Landing, there has to be some type of plan for if you're going to build a road. Are you building a sidewalk? Is there going to be a bike lane? I think these are middle point conversations that need to be had instead of a hard line to say no, we don't want that, or yes, we're pushing for this agenda. I think a place to meet in the middle is to really put an emphasis on connectivity to all of the amenities that they're putting around us.
Yeah. Yeah, and the city has those priorities, and the city's street designs and their requirements are pretty comprehensive. But
Mhm.
the challenge that we have a lot of the time is that some of these roads are state controlled roads, and then
It's
there's
true.
a conflict between the state wants to be able to move cars efficiently through an area, and the city is trying to maximize the value, and the amenities and the pedestrian, connectivity and so on. So yeah, it's a big complicated mess. But the city's plans and their design guidelines for streets, complete streets, do include sidewalks, multi-use paths. And so with every rezoning, those are the kinds of things, if they're not actually required by the city, there'll be strong encouragement to get that. And with neighborhood involvement, you can often advocate for the developer to add some of those things. So you'll see in every single rezoning, there's stuff that the developer commits to doing. And so to your previous point about neighbors remembering something that different than was promised, I don't know how likely that is, because in the rezoning process, everything that is committed by the developer is written onto the plan that is approved. And there's a process to make sure that they meet all those commitments. And a lot of those commitments have to be met before they'll even get their first certificate of occupancy for those
That is
buildings.
true.
So sometimes it's just people misremember, and so
Yeah.
much goes on, and we have so many public meetings. I mean, we struggle with that in Derita the Derita area generally, we've had so many meetings about affordable housing proposals that never ever came to fruition, but it's still in people's minds that we have a ton of affordable housing projects in our area, and we don't.
Right.
So I will just segue to this, and this will be the last thing. This is the city's report, and you can go and read. I think it's a 2022 report, and they're busy compiling a new one. But these are the projects in the city that have received housing trust fund dollars or tax credits from the state to provide affordable housing. And so I'm kind of zoomed into the area that we cover, and you can see the two projects. One is Rodden Mill, this one, and this one is, I believe, the Methodist, where Cole Memorial Methodist Church was, corner of North Graham and West Sugar Creek. Now you see a cluster further down Sugar Creek on the other side of 85. This is sort of Hidden Valley area here. And then the one that we'll have the presentation, the one that's currently being proposed will be in this area here somewhere. It's just off Graham Street, probably in that bend there. It's not a very clear map, but this is Oneida Road where it hits Graham Street, and in this bend, it's already zoned for multifamily, but they are applying for affordable housing, for the Housing Trust Fund dollars and the state tax credits. So we'll get that presentation next month to see what they're proposing there. But yeah, this is Derita. So we do have what they call naturally occurring affordable housing, NOAA. We have a lot of that in Derita, and it's not necessarily subsidized. It's just a function of the market. It's a lot more affordable than, and usually it's older apartment complexes. Some of them may be old, like Section 8 apartment complexes. We do have some of those. They're not identified on this map. But we do have some of those throughout the Derita area as well. But this is everything that's been added in the last 20 years, which is really an updated idea of what affordable housing is, as the city and the state fund it. It's not what anybody would remember from the old projects or even some of the older apartment complexes, which those they have other issues. But affordability sometimes means that you're renting something that's older and not as well maintained, or not as modern. And that's what keeps the rent low. So it's a trade-off.
Teresa, I do have a question. In your professional opinion, what do you feel is classified as affordable housing?
Well, capital A affordable housing is affordable housing that has received some kind of subsidy for the development of the affordable housing. And that's what these projects are. They either are getting funds from the city, the Housing Trust Fund dollars, which voters approved up to 100 million now per year for the Housing Trust Fund. So they have an allocation from the city of Charlotte Housing Trust Fund dollars, and then tax credit from the state of North Carolina that also helps it basically subsidizes it so that the rents, once this new apartment complex is built, the rents are affordable to people earning below the median income. And, you know, sometimes they'll be subsidized to be affordable to 30% of the area median income or 60%. And when you look at things like teacher salaries, those are in that, you know, below the area median income wage. So that's the idea, is to subsidize new development to be able to charge affordable rents. And one other that has been approved is, of course, in our area is the Puckets, which we've talked about a lot on these calls. The Puckett site has been approved for funding from both the Housing Trust Fund and the state tax credits. They haven't closed on the sale yet, so but that should close, and that construction will start. So we do have one more project to add to this little map here. That'll probably break ground in later this year, if all goes well. But yeah, affordable, you know, some people can afford $1 million, you know, but what we're talking about for capital A, we say affordable housing is subsidized in those ways. And it's to create affordable rents that are affordable to somebody earning the median income or lower, generally. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I just, you know, our area generally is more affordable than other parts of Charlotte. Just our average home price, your dollar goes a bit further. You know, you get more for your dollar in Derita. You know, the houses generally, the average price is lower than the rest, most of the rest of Charlotte. There are areas that are lower, of course, but generally speaking, Derita is affordable. It's an affordable, attainable. Sometimes people will say attainable, which just means, you know, that it's a sale price and a mortgage payment that, you know, people, just regular people, working people, can afford. So, all right, I think I've talked enough. Anybody got anything else to add, or anything that you would like us to focus on? Next month will be May 1st, May Day, 9 o'clock on Zoom. And then we'll either just do the breakfast. We did have a breakfast on March 22nd. We had a pretty decent turnout. It was just a social thing. And thank you to those who came out for that. June, we'll likely have a public meeting and try to pull together a few more resources so that you can ask your questions to the city departments. Don't know of anything upcoming that any public meetings. A lot of the town halls and things have happened because it's election season for city council again. So that's why there was a flurry of town halls. I don't know that Malcolm Graham has held one, so we'll let you know if I hear of any others. I'll put it in an email. Jamila, anything to add? Anything that we could? Sorry.
That is along those lines. I know that the East Side Intergovernmental I forget what they call it, town hall or summit will be taking place on May 17th. I don't have the exact times, but I believe it's maybe 9 or 10 to 12 or 10 to 1, something like that.
Yeah.
As I get the firm information and get a flyer, I'll be sure to share that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And somebody had a question earlier just about how to sign up to get updates. Is there one place to sign
There
up?
is the NACO list, that's that neighborhood organization contact list.
Yeah.
But if you were specifically interested in, as you had mentioned, I think you or Charlene, somebody had mentioned, but signing up through either your city council person or
Yeah.
community engagement liaison for your district, like myself, those
Yeah.
are two things that you could do.
Yeah, exactly. So I get a lot of I get emails from you, which I try to pass on to my list, but I don't always have uh just the bandwidth to keep passing them on. So I want to make sure that people subscribe for themselves. And now I was just looking at the neighborhood contact list because for you guys from Great Oaks, make sure that you do have somebody on some statement. I don't know what's going on with this website. Because I'm not sure. Is this the map? Maybe it's just a bit slow to load.
That is where you sign up for the NACO. You're correct. You're on the right track.
Yeah, yeah. So I can put this link in the chat. So just anybody who's a
What
leader.
did you say about the Great Oaks, Teresa? I didn't, because I'm with the Great Oaks. I didn't hear that. What did you say?
Oh, just make sure that somebody from your board is on this contact list for the city. And
Okay.
I'm putting the link here.
Yes,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
designed for the neighborhood organization leaders. So,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And they have a lot of resources, housing and neighborhood services, and also to help HOAs in particular, as well as, just neighborhoods that aren't organized in any way. There's just a ton of resources. So it's worth exploring here. I don't know why the site is being so screwy, but hopefully it'll work better for you guys. I put the link in the chat.
And Jamila, thank you so much because you have done our community a big service in the communication that you put out. So I just wanted to uplift you and just tell you thank you so much because we receive it.
no problem. Thank you. Thank you guys for doing all that you do.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, Jamila, you're awesome. So, okay, guys,
Thanks.
if there's nothing else, I am going to finish up and we'll see you next month. If we get an update on the gas station, we'll let you know. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. Have a good day.
Bye.